Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy! Today we have a piece of olive wood. This comes to us from our friend Dan in Las Vegas. The piece is about 8 by 9 by about 2.5 to 3 inches thick, depending on where you measure it. This will be our top. I don't know how much of the bark will stay with us. I'm just going to mark a center hole here somewhere, mount it up on my woodworm screw, and we're going to get to turning. Just in case you're ever faced with this same thing, I wanted to show you. I think you can barely see that the jaws are touching the wood on this side, but they weren't touching on this side. So I've added a shim in here just to even it out so that it'll set more flat against the top so that I don't have the piece cocked too much and cut away more wood than I have to on the bottom side. I just happen to have this bandsaw cut off, so that's what I used, but you could use anything that will fit in there. The piece, of course, is out of balance, so we're going to be turning at about 415 RPM. I'm going to wear a glove because this wood is very sharp. It's also quite dry at 3% moisture content. I'm going to use a 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. Well, I'm going to have to decide on a shape here pretty soon. Maybe I'll start coming up this side here a little bit, this corner. This wood is full of sand. I can hear it and feel it when I move my tool rest around. Gritty, real gritty. Well, that's probably enough. It doesn't have to touch here. As long as there's, 3/4 of a bottom, that's good enough for us, right? I still have to put a tenon on here, so some of that will go away anyway. Well, speaking of a tenon, let's mark out for one. I put my cone center back on, which is my preferred center. Now I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. That looks good. I'll go back over here and start working on the side profile and fix up a base for it to set on. I also went and sharpened up again. I hope this sets up right because the part of the base that we're missing is also the heaviest part of the bowl, the thickest part here. That may change when we get to the top, but that's the way it is right now. Okay, that's probably about as far as we need to go. Now if we could just get some smoothing cuts on there, I would be delighted, but it ain't easy. I'm going to do some shear scrapes. See, the only, up here, the only place it's hitting is right here. There isn't any right here on the other side. So it's really hard to get a clean cut or a clean scrape, but I'll keep trying. Oh, that did get better. What do you know? I'm calling that good, and we'll let the sanding handle it. Just a little bit of cleanup right here on this base. Yep. Time for sanding. I'm going to start by using my Sandoflex. This is a 180 grit. I'm just going to sand this top edge right here. I'm going to sand from the top side down, like that. Then I'll change to my 2-inch disc sander with an 80 grit pad, and I'll sand this. And I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. So now we'll try the 2-inch disc. And it looks like that's going to be easy peasy. I'll bring you back here in a little bit when it's time to put some finish on. I'm not sure what we're going with yet. See you in a bit. Well, I looked at the last piece of olive wood that I did, the olive bowl that I did a couple months ago. And it looks fantastic, and it has shellac on it. So of course I want to try Howard Feed and Wax, see if this looks fantastic as well. And this is the stuff. I don't get paid anything to tell you this. I'm just telling you in case you like what we see here. I don't know if we will or not. I know it's good stuff. I use it on plenty of different pieces. It will not be shiny. The other piece I did is shiny. It's shellac, like I said. It's shiny right now, but it won't be when it's done. It'll have a kind of a low sheen to it. And I'll put this on and give it about a half an hour, and then I will buff it up. And then we will turn it around and start working on the inside. Yes, that looks pretty dang nice, I'd say. What do you think? Isn't that pretty? I hope we see more of that on the inside. I am worried about this piece. I'll tell you, I'm very worried, because this missing portion, it's not going to set on this. It's only going to set from here around to there. And this is the heaviest part of the bowl right here. So I'm afraid it's going to tip once it's all said and done. Okay, there we go. So I'll let that set up, buff it, turn it around, and we'll start working on the inside. See you in a bit. I have the piece turned around with the tenon mounted up in the chuck. Now I've got a decision to make. See how close it is here to the tool rest? And nowhere else. Not even remotely close. So I tend to not do this normally, because I like to leave things natural. I really like this rounded portion here. I will get into it, maybe something like this. But I could take it down to where it's more even with, say, this here. I don't want to take it too far. I've got this flat edge out here that I kind of like. It's a natural edge, chainsaw edge. It's all kind of chewed up. I like it. I did sand it and I did finish it. But anyway, it's about a ½ an inch thick right here. And I could take it down to where that flat edge is gone, which will bring me even with the outside of the bowl. over here, but do I want to do that? I guess what I'll do is I'll just start working towards the middle here in this area. I don't want to go, if I come out here too far, I'm going to run right off the edge. There's nothing out here. So I've got to stay in about here, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna start about here and just kind of work to the middle, and we'll see how it looks. I can always take this off later if it looks like it needs to be taken off. I'm going to be using a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. We're going to be spinning at 500 RPM, mask and face shield on. Well, I'm just not really feeling this piece. It's not telling me what I want to hear. I put some CA in this crack here, as you can see. I am going to come over here and remove much of this height. Yeah, I think that was a good idea. Maybe just a little bit more. We'll touch on this one. I'm going to check my depth here. Make sure I'm not getting too close to that bottom. Now we're about a ½ inch, so we can take another 1/4 off the bottom. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to sand this out of there. Well, it's an interesting shape. Still lots of nature in there. Still have some bark with us. A couple of nice natural voids here. That's especially nice. I think we're done. Let me do one last check here. Oh, I could probably... I'll scrape that bottom. I didn't do that, did I? Okay, time for sanding. As I did on the outside, I'm going to start sanding with my Sandal Flex. I'm going to sand all of the bark and these sharp edges around here, in this inclusion here. And then I will switch to my 2-inch sanding disc at 80 grit. And I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. So that's what that looks like. And then with the lathe spinning forward at about 400 RPM. Whoa. Yeah, gotta be careful. See, it catches that edge of the sanding disc. Probably my fault. I probably had it not enough of an angle. Yeah, that'll work once I decide to do it right. I'll also do some spot sanding like this. In some places that are particularly rough due to the turning more air than wood situation. And I'll do that up through 400 grit, and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on. See you in a bit. Well, that sanded up way better than I thought it might. It's just silky smooth. And I think I got all of my divots and poor tool work out of there. I'll use a little brush on some of this in just a minute here. This piece is not as pretty as the last one I did out of olive, but it's still pretty nice. So I'm just brushing this into the bark, and then the way I'll get it out of there after it's set for about half an hour or so, I will use compressed air to blow it out of there, and then I'll use a clean toothbrush to buff it, and that usually works very well. Well, that was quick and easy. So I'll see you back here when it's time to take the tenon off. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up on my chuck. I'm going to place the bowl over that, bring up my tailstock. Boy, this is a slippery little thing to hold. I still have the center hole there for reference, so I'll just drive my live center into that. That'll help me get it centered on that block. Apply a little pressure, bring up the tool rest. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running true, and it's right on the money. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. I'm going to speed it up here. It's a little bit slow. About 500 RPM. Check my work. Check for clearance. When we have clearance, I'll just keep working it away. Now that's pretty small. I want to switch to a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer. And I'm going to adjust my tool rest closer and a little bit higher. And I'm going to slow the speed down to about 400 RPM. I just want to inspect, make sure there's no cracks where I'm working. I don't want that to break on me unexpectedly. Looks good. I'm going to turn the speed down to about 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, pressure towards the headstock, and when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Like that. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand that up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this. If you'd share this video, wow, that'd be really terrific. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Well, here it is. One olive bowl, dish, in the books. Boy, I just wish you could feel this. I just wish you could. It is so smooth. It's just, you know, it's such a hard wood, and that feed and wax does such a nice job. I kind of get in a rut about what finish I'm going to use. You know, I'll use shellac 6 times in a row or something, and then I remember, oh yeah, I got the feed and wax, and I try that, and then I use that for a few times, and then back to the shellac. It's hard to know which is best. It's just kind of how I feel at the moment, I guess, and I know that doesn't help anybody. I really like the natural parts of this, of course. And there's the bottom all finished up. Got some bark down there even. I like that. And it does set nice and flat. It doesn't rock at all. So that's good. What do you think? You like it? I like it way more than I did earlier. Way more. And probably that comes from feeling it. But, you know, it's got some beautiful grain in there too. Thank you, Dan from Las Vegas, for bringing this up to me for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I read all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.